friends.
Welcome to Leave Me Alone. I'm working on it. What are you thinking about?
How much I want to go to sleep right now.
I just looked at Aura's face and she just is like, so like, it looks like she's very deep in thought. Meanwhile, she's just like, can I take a nap?
I was falling asleep in the Uber on the way here. I was just like,
realistically, when is the next time I can pass out?
Yes. I think much of adulthood is just wondering how soon can it be bedtime?
How soon can it be? Yeah. How soon can this day be over? But you know what, though? I think this is not actually what I wanted to talk about today.
Of course not. When do we ever start what we want to talk about?
But you know, I'm worried that like that's going to be how I am. Like I don't want that to be my everyday thought. Is that like, when is it going to be better? When is it going to be over? Like living for the weekend, living for nap time, living for when my time becomes my own. That causes me fear because I don't want that to be my reality. Life is only so long. You know, you need to make it your own and make it worth living.
Yeah, you're right. But currently
you need a nap. Your current reality is like, when can I go to sleep? Okay, so today what I wanted to talk about is perfectionism.
Can I go home?
No, you can't.
I feel like I'm being attacked.
No, why? Why do you feel like you're being attacked?
It's like my middle name should be Perfectionism.
Okay, but I think, and I'm going to get to this, but like, I think that you're not alone.
Yeah, of course not.
I think you're not alone, and I think that a lot of people are striving for perfect, and it's actually one of the things that's holding them back the most. So like a lot of what I've been doing in my journey of building the Cassie that I want, the Cassie that's not living for the weekend, the Cassie that's trying to do what Cassie wants to do, is a lot of self-reflection. And that's how I start. All my episodes are based on me like being like, what do I need to work on? So perfectionism also for me is definitely something that I've thought a lot about, and something that I'm like actively trying to work on. But I mean, you would classify yourself as a perfectionist, yes?
Yeah, it's stressful.
Tell me more. Please excuse my stomach. I don't know if you can hear it, but I am also hungry.
I'm hungry too. Maybe that's why I'm so
shaking
tired.
His head and he's like, you can't hear myself. But it just growls very loudly.
I think... Wait, what did you ask me?
Like, tell me about why you would say that perfectionism is stressful for you.
Because sometimes good enough is good enough. And this is how my therapist explained it to me, because yes, I'm working on this thing. She said the extra hour or 2 or 3 that you spend obsessing over that one detail that in your mind takes this thing from perfect to just okay, that extra time could be put to better use doing something else. But now you're stressing over this thing, you're obsessing over this thing, you're redoing and redoing and redoing and redoing and redoing. It's
for very minimal increase.
Exactly.
In the
like at the end of the day, and she was like, at the end of the day, when you think about this thing, okay, so I had it at this point and now we're at this other point now. What is the difference? What has it added?
What has it actually added?
If I present these 2 options to someone else, can they see the difference? And I see you smiling because you and I have gone on this journey so many times.
Many times.
When I'll be like, Cass, this thing that I've done, and I'll be explaining to you why it's not good enough or it's not there. And you'll be like, all right, I think this is a you thing. I can't tell the difference. I will be shocked.
See.
I'll be like, what? What do you mean? It's so bad.
Yeah, I think so. So yes, and I think that I fully agree with you. And I think that one of the things that I've learned is the concept of like the 80-20 principle. Like you do 80%. If you get 80% right, it's good enough. Yeah. Right? It's good enough. And a large part of what that does is it helps you maximize your day and it helps you increase your output because ultimately you can then do more things, right? And so for me, one of the questions that I've had to ask myself is my perfectionism helping me or is it hurting me? And I think that for me, if I unpack it, I think about like, there's definitely parts of it that make the output of what I'm doing good because I'm detail oriented, because I want it to be good. Like that it's a good trait to have.
Yeah.
But this part where you dip into this time where you're now like over analyzing, overthinking, stipulating what needs to happen, how it needs to happen, will do one of two things. I think it's either going to like make you late, like, now I'm late handing this thing over to you because I've spent so much time agonizing, or what it's going to do is you're not even going to start at all. Because you're like, if I can't do it perfectly, I'm not going to do it at all.
Yeah, yeah.
And it becomes a hindrance to your progress. It becomes a hindrance to your success. Whereas ultimately what you should do is start. I think a good dramatization of this is Monk. Have you watched Monk?
A little bit, not as much as I should have.
So Monk, look, it is a dramatization. It's a bit. Actually, no, I actually don't even want to say it's a bit drastic. But he has a form of OCD, which makes him unable to function in the world. So like he's walking down the street, he has to touch every single lamp like on the street, and if he misses one, like his whole day comes crashing down around him, and ultimately what is happening is that his desire for everything to be right and everything to be 100% perfect ultimately holds him back in his career. He's truly brilliant at what he does. Brilliant at what he does. But if he could just find a way to put this thing down, he would soar. He would absolutely soar. I also, a large part of this exercise has been unpacking, like, where did my perfectionism come from?
Oh, okay.
Where did your perfectionism come from? This desire to be perfect. What's the driver?
I don't know.
You just woke up, like, can you think about Ore?
I came out like this.
Yeah, I arrived like this. But think about 4-year-old Ore, 5-year-old Ore, 6-year-old Ore. Was she like this?
Sure, okay. I mean, I came for a podcast, but sure, we can do therapy.
I think that a key part of understanding why you are today is really about unpacking how you arrived here.
No, you're right, of course. I just don't know how. Because
have you always been like this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And I can't, this is not one of those things where I can be like, it was my childhood's fault. Because my parents were never really the kind of parents who were like, you must come first. You must get an A.
My parents.
My parents weren't those people.
My parents.
They weren't.
That's where it came from for me.
I remember.
We can actually end the episode right now because that's where it came from for me. Yeah.
Because I remember coming home from school, like this was secondary school, and I mean, of course, at first, straight A's, and I was first, and I was doing well, star people, and whatever, and then I think by my second or my third year, I can't remember, I was starting to discover other things in life that I liked. I was discovering drama and music and dance. And those things were distracting me away from my studies. And I remember, I think I came second or third, I can't remember. And I go home and I'm sobbing because I think, oh my God, it's late for me. Like my parents are going to lose it.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, why are you crying? And I was like, this thing where you're like, let me confess before you even come for me. And I say to her, I didn't even give her I just say to her, I came third. And she's like, okay, why? So why is that a reason to cry?
Yeah.
And I was like, because I came third. And she was like, okay, but third in your school is first in another school.
That's so nice. That's
and I remember looking at this when I was like, so you're not upset with me? And she's like, no. So you're not angry that I didn't come first? My mom's like, why would I be angry?
Oh my
God.
God.
I'm like, oh. Now I've gone on this anxiety trip.
You've taken yourself on the journey.
So I can't even lay my perfectionism at their feet. It's not my parents. Something else changed somewhere. And I must go think about it.
I think you must go think. I think this is something you must go leave me alone. I'm working on it. Go do that thing, because for me, like, if I think about where it came from, for me was my childhood, the exact opposite. Okay. And it's this pressure that came from our parents for us to be perfect. Now, they weren't saying, Cassie, Simeon, you have to be perfect. Like you have to be perfect. They were saying you have to come first. You have to be the best. You have to, be number one. And then when you get to number one, you better stay number one.
Shoo, but that's a lot of pressure for a
So,
child.
as a child, as an adult, it's a lot of pressure.
As an adult, you can at least even say no. You can choose.
But
Hopefully.
can you? If this is the message that that's been fed to you, it becomes your reality. This pursuit of perfectionism. This like, if you're not first, you're last. You know, which is it's hectic. It's hectic.
If you're not first, you're last.
My parents didn't say that, but like.
I know,
I'm just
but like,
saying,
is that a thing?
Yeah. That's a real.
There's so many things between first and last.
Yeah, 100%. No, I know this now. But like, if you're not first, you're last, because it's this idea that if you're not the best, it just feels like everything around you comes crumbling down. Listen, this one is out here rapping along the way. Are you proud of yourself?
If you're not the best, you're the rest. Sure. I'm very proud of myself.
Well done. It's a bit shady, but okay. But yeah, so I think a large part of that is like, that's what shaped me. And I remember, like, you're talking about coming third. I remember as a child, like, so my skill set was also the things I was good at, the things I was passionate at, the things I was, excelling at were the more creative side. So it was things like English, it was things like drama, it was things like singing, playing the piano, like that stuff was the stuff I was good at. I was like by no means an athlete of in any way, shape or form. Okay. I did play a bit of tennis. Actually, I played tennis and that was fun. But our school used to make us do these galas, these swimming galas. So like you like the school you'd compete swimming against like other people in the school. And I remember I said, like, I was not a strong swimmer. I was not like a thing, but I said to myself, like, there's like 12 lanes. I was like, I will come in the top 5. Like, I will come in the top 5. And I remember just being like, I will do it. I'll do it. Like, if I come top 5, like, I'll be happy. And the only reason I did the gala is because you had to. There was no, like, otherwise I would have been like, I ain't doing this thing. This thing is not happening. But you had to. It was compulsory. Anyway, so then like, and parents come and families come. And it becomes a whole day. Anyway, I remember this one gala. It's like there's 12 lanes, 8 lanes. I can't remember. But I was like, I will come in the top 5. I came 4th.
Oh, well done.
Okay, I came 4th in this race, and my dad was there, my mom was there, and like they were there to support me, of course. But when I walked past, I got a little number that said I was 4, and I was like, I came 4th. I was like, I did it, and I was so excited. And my dad was like, yeah, but you came 4th. Like, and I don't want to like drag on my parents because my parents are great, but like in that moment,
somebody tell me to close my mouth.
In that moment, I was just like, can you be happy for me? Like, this thing that I'm not good at,
but I
like,
put in
the
work.
effort, I put in the work. I've got no goals of becoming an Olympic swimmer. Like, so it's fine that I came 4th,
You came 4th.
And I was so happy. Like, I was so happy. And my dad was just like, yeah, okay, you came 4th. And it just made me feel like, it made me stop and be like, you know what, he's right. Like, 4th is not good. Like, it's not amazing. It's like, I should actually come first. I should have come first. Anyway, so that's my context of like where I've come from and in this pursuit of perfection. Now, I work in communication, so a large part of what I do is I go and I look at other companies and how they're telling their stories and that kind of thing, so that I can, benchmarking exercises. Anyway, I came across Uber. Now, Uber has this really great saying where it's one of their ethoses, one of their values, right? And they say, see the forest and the trees. See the forest and the trees. Yeah. And I was like, I love this.
That. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with this.
I love that.
See the forest and the trees. It's so beautiful and so encompassing of how you should actually be approaching life and everything that you do in life, right? See the big picture, but also see the detail.
Yeah.
And it's like in the forest, if one tree is fallen down, if one leaf has come apart or whatever, it doesn't stop the forest from being a forest.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't stop the forest from being a forest. And anyway, I love it. So I love that for them, I think it's more about being very detail oriented. You see the big picture and you see the detail. But I love it as a I don't know what to call it, a metaphor of how we should be looking at life and looking at the pursuit of perfectionism.
You know, when you asked me where mine came from, and I said I didn't know, but I also just, and I still don't know. I will go think about it. But I do know that culturally, Nigerians are like, we are taught excellence. And I think that oftentimes
True.
we blur the line between excellence and
Yes.
perfectionism.
That is such a good point, because I think that's what my parents were pushing us to do. They were pushing us to be excellent at what we did. That's good.
But then
This has been a great therapy session. Can I just point that out? Like, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, hello, hi.
It's like you can be excellent, but it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Because I think the other question we must ask is, when is something perfect? Who determines perfectionism? Because oftentimes it's just you in your mind, in your head, to the rest of the world. This is great. It's the best thing since sliced bread.
Correct.
And you're the one sitting here. And what it usually does for me is it belittles my achievements. It belittles what I've done. It belittles the time and the effort that I've put into it. Meanwhile, if I was striving just for excellence, that means you'd still give it your all.
Yeah.
You'd still push hard.
Yeah.
You'd still try everything that you could.
Yeah.
But when you've put it all together and the final product arrives, as
Yeah.
opposed to finding fault in it,
Yeah.
you will instead walk away from it with learnings. So like this thing here could have been done better, but now I've learned for
And
the
next
next
time,
time, this is how I need to approach this.
100%.
But when you sit and all you did was find fault in that thing, what I do, if I sit and I find fault in something that I've done and I feel it's not perfect, I don't even bother going over it anymore to learn from it or to see how I can better. I just close it. Where can I throw this? Where can I hide it? I don't want to see it. For me, it's like, let me cover my shame.
Exactly. Because
And
it's like
so bad.
It's your, and you've spent so many hours. And I think a good example is the artwork for this podcast, Ore, like, cool, I'm driving from home and Ore calls me and she's like, Cassie, I liked it. And she's literally speaking like this. She's like, I did the artwork for Leave Me Alone. I'm working on it, but like, it's not great. And like, I just want to start again. And I was like, okay, so send it to me. She's like, no, it's like, it's fine.
Nobody
it's not
must see my
amazing."
shame.
And I was just like, can you send it to me? And now, okay, I was being irresponsible, but I like look at it on my phone and I'm just like, this is amazing. Like, I loved it instantly. I loved it so much instantly. But you were so hard on yourself. And I'm not calling you out. I'm calling you out a little bit. But like, but I think I've now lost my train of thought. I am calling you out a little bit. But I think the thing is that for you, having someone else be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, helped you see that it was amazing. And that's okay. I think the point is that we need to lean on each other and lean on people to kind of, so if you find yourself in a spiral, if you find your head spinning and you're like, now I don't know. Even just yesterday, I called I was like, I did a thing. Like, I don't know now. Is it a good thing? Is it not a good thing?
Wait, did you send me that thing?
I haven't sent it to her.
And here she is preaching.
Right?
You know?
I haven't sent it to her. I haven't sent it to her. And like, I'm
It's
like,
probably fine.
it's probably okay. See, you see, 'cause you see, I'm literally like, no.
She's like, Ori did this thing and she didn't. But homegirl did the same thing yesterday. It's so difficult, isn't it, when it's you?
So hard.
Yeah.
Because when it's me, right? When it's me, it's so easy for me to tell you and remind you that you're great and that you're amazing and that you're talented and to validate the output of your work.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to do that for yourself. So again, the importance of the tribe,
I
the
love
importance
that,
of
yeah.
the importance of like leaning on the people around you, finding your safe space.
The other side of that, Cass, is when the people around you are telling you that something is good.
Believe them.
Believe them.
Believe them.
Like not randos.
I'm not shouting at you. I'm not shouting at you. I'm shouting at me. Believe
Don't
them,
shout at
Cassie.
you.
No, believe them. Because you're right. You're so right. People are validating you. People are pointing you in the right direction. People are saying, Cassie, this is amazing. Cassie, you should be focusing on this. Cassie, do that. And I'm just going like,
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I know. I do the same thing. But the thing is, and I don't mean randos. I don't mean people on social media. I don't mean the sycophants or whatever.
People
I mean the people in your
you
tribe,
value.
whoever it is, the people you
Yeah.
value.
Yeah.
If they are telling you this thing is good, you're onto something here. Keep working on this thing. You've got it, girl. believe them.
Believe them.
I understand that your self-doubt is going to come and play.
Your self-doubt will be loud.
It will be loud.
It will
but
be
as Cassie
loud.
always says, the negative voices are always louder than the positive ones.
Always.
And sometimes the negative and positive voices are not even external. They're in your own head. Listen to the positive voices in your own head telling you this is good enough.
And if or choose the voices outside your head that are,
and if those aren't loud enough, choose
believe
them.
them.
Believe them.
Believe them. Anyway, so yes, I will send you my thing. I will send it to you, and you will have a look at it. In fact, I feel like I should do it right now because if I don't do it now, like I don't think I'm gonna do it.
This is starting to feel like therapy.
This is literally.
I don't hate it.
You don't hate it.
I don't hate it.
It's have
fine.
A message in your WhatsApp.
Thank you so much.
Right?
It only took 18 hours, but it's okay.
And literally, because I literally last night I was like, oh, I should send it.
And it just came in.
See?
Okay.
See? working on it. But I because I literally was like, oh, I'm going to send it. And then I was just like, oh, no, let me work on it a little bit more. Let me make it amazing.
What your self-doubt does is it prevents you from actually.
Exactly. From acting.
From doing anything.
From doing anything.
It makes you sit on it.
But also your self-doubt because it's not good enough, because you believe that it's not good enough, because you believe that it's not perfect, it stops you from acting. And it's just so sad. Like imagine, I was watching Hans Zimmer on
Hans Zimmer.
some show.
Somehow
I don't know.
We didn't go.
I know, but he's coming back, so we must go then.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was watching Hans Zimmer on this on some show, I don't know, but I googled him and I was just listening to his brain and how it works. And he said Christopher Nolan came to him and said, hey, I'm working on a movie. I want you to obviously do the music for it, right? And Hans was just like, yes, of course, like Yalla Bina, let's go. And Hans then said, what's the movie about? How are we, like, give me the send over the script, like, let's start going. And Christopher Nolan was just like, no, it's no script. I just want you to imagine a story. Imagine that you're capturing the emotion of a father and his child, that relationship, and the passion and the love in a father-child relationship. That's the brief. That's the brief.
Nah, I'm not doing it.
And so Hans Zimmer was basically just like, okay, well, how am I gonna do this now? And now he's also Hans Zimmer is now questioning himself. I'm like, you're Hans Zimmer, like, for goodness sake. But he's not questioning himself. He's like, how am I going to do this? Anyway, he goes and he writes and he creates and he does all of the things. And then,
I just want to call out that Hans Zimmer is a composer, a brilliant composer. He did
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Did he do Prince of Egypt as well?
I think he did. Yes, he did do Prince of Egypt,
Pirates of the Caribbean. He's on a lot of things.
So many things,
and he's brilliant.
He's incredible. Like, he's absolutely incredible. But anyway, like, if you've heard songs, if you've heard music in a movie and you loved it, it was probably Hans Zimmer. Like, it was probably Hans Zimmer. Anyway. So he goes and he creates, and then he picks up the phone to call Christopher, and then he puts the phone down because he's like, it's not good enough yet. And then he's not umming and ahhing, he goes and he works and he comes back. Anyway, eventually he calls and Christopher's wife picks up, and then he's like, oh, well, Chris, we're about to go to bed. It's the middle of the night. Christopher's like, is that Hans? Yes. He runs, he picks up the phone, you got it. He's like, I've got something. And Christopher's like, I'm on my way. Like, so, like, Christopher goes to Hans Zimmer's house, and then he plays a song, and then Christopher's like, yep, that's it, you got it, that's amazing, that's perfect. And he's like, perfect for what? And he's like, oh, I'm working on a movie, it's called Interstellar. And so that thing, Hans Zimmer wrote it. He had no idea when he wrote that. He had no idea. And that piece of music is now iconic. Like, people hear that, and like, everyone who's a wannabe piano player, that's the first song that they want to play. Like, it resonates. It's deep. It's real. But Hans Zimmer doubted it and doubted what it would.
Can I tell you why sometimes because he, in this story now, he goes, I've got something. He doesn't say I've got it. Sometimes the reason why we do this is also some form of self-preservation, because you're like, before you tell me that it's shit, I'm going to do it myself.
Fair.
So I'm going to approach you like,
Fair.
I've got this thing that's not great.
Yeah.
So that in case the feedback comes, you'll be like, yeah, but I already told you it wasn't great.
For sure.
Like it kind of protects
Hans,
you.
He then said, he's like, okay, great, it's Interstellar now. And only then. It wasn't like Chris didn't have the script. He had the script. He had everything. He was like, okay, here it all is. And then Hans was like, okay, I'll rework it. And Christopher was like, don't you dare touch it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
You see? Exactly. Because now you're like, okay, you...
Anyway, so I've been reading this book by Elizabeth Gilbert. I came across Elizabeth Gilbert because of Oprah, and if Oprah says it's green, like I feel like the whole world is like, yeah, I approve. More often than not. Anyway, so Elizabeth Gilbert has this book and it's called Big Magic, and it's it's beautiful. And in it she talks about perfectionism, and she talks about how perfectionism positions itself as a virtue. It positions itself as something that should be strived for. Like you should be working to be perfect. And so what we do is we then spend all of our time chasing it, like hounding it, pursuing it, to kind of make it a real thing. But meanwhile, what you're actually doing is you're a hamster on a wheel, running yourself to death, you know?
Chasing something that doesn't actually exist.
Chasing something that doesn't exist, and chasing something that will probably never be realized. Like, let's also just be real.
Or
right?
something that in the here and the now is perfect to you. But what's to say as you grow and develop that your standard of perfectionism doesn't change?
Yeah. No, that's true.
But now
That's
so
true.
what's going to happen? You want to go back
true.
and redo your whole life?
Your whole life.
Good luck with that.
So I want to read a quote from the book.
Yeah.
It says, I think perfectionism is just fear in fancy shoes and a mink coat, pretending to be elegant when actually it's just terrified. Because underneath that shiny veneer, perfectionism is nothing more than a deep existential angst that says again and again, I am not good enough and I will never be good enough.
I'm getting called out. That's all I have to say.
You're not getting called out.
To rock me.
No.
I know.
Are you getting called out or you getting convicted?
Out. Both. You did call me out.
I called myself out as well.
Yeah, how's that my problem?
Like, it's not about calling you out, or it's about like, because for me, it's like this. I read this and even I was convicted. I was just like, oh my goodness, right? It's actually what I'm doing is masking the fear of this perception of what the world will think about me, what people will think about me, and like just being afraid to just be, like just be, just exist, and your people will find you and you've got something to offer, and it's gonna be good and it's gonna be amazing. So sure, I don't know, this thing really spoke to me.
It shook me. I'm sitting here now and I'm just processing and I'm just thinking that oftentimes my fear, because this thing about the mink coat and the shoes, I'm like, my fear likes to put on fancy clothing, and the name of that clothing is perfectionism. Because to your point, if I feel like it can't be perfect, then I'm gonna put it down. Because I'm like, oh, it's fine, it won't be good enough. I'll wait until and there's nothing wrong with being at a point in your life where you feel like I'm not there yet. I don't have what it takes to accomplish this in the way that I want to.
100%.
Because I was recently watching this interview with Regina King where she was talking about this new movie she's got on Netflix, Shirley, and talking about how Shirley's been in the making for years. But she was like, at the time where they started talking about, because Shirley's about this Black American woman who was the first Black American woman to run for presidency in the US.
Oh.
Yeah. Fantastic story. King was going to produce and she was going to be lead as well. So she was going to play Shirley. And she said in this interview, she was like, when we started this project years ago, we had to put it down. She was like, I wasn't ready to play Shirley. And she said something that was very interesting to me. She said, I still had a little bit more living that I needed to do to enable me to play Shirley.
Wow.
Like, there was a little bit more experience that needed to be gained, a little bit more time, a little bit more exposure. So there's nothing wrong with saying, currently, I don't have the capacity.
And that's the pursuit of excellence. And the pursuit of doing that excellently, it's saying, okay, I'm going to take the time to go back, do what I need to do.
And learn more,
so that I can come back and do this thing well.
You're right. that is excellence. That's
Sure.
excellence. It's like, I need to gather more wood for the fire.
More of everything.
More of everything. You're right. That is excellence. So it's not that we're not saying that you shouldn't strive to do things well. Or like now just walk around half-assing everything.
Absolutely.
Nah, girl.
Absolutely.
We're just saying that if there is a clear line that you need to learn, it's the difference between being excellent and being perfect.
Being excellent and being perfect.
Always choose excellence.
Choose excellence. And also identify what the driver of your fear is.
Yeah.
And then
I'm gonna do this, hey?
Put that thing down. Put it down, babes. Put it down. Because like Elizabeth Gilbert is saying, it's just fear that's masquerading as something fancy, as something good, as something to be, worked hard for. But it's this fear of I'm not good enough. And the reality is that you are good enough. You are good enough, you can do it.
Yeah.
And it is possible. And the world this is actually something I was thinking as well, is the world doesn't care about you as much as you think it does.
It's not obsessing about you as much as you're obsessing.
I'm not good enough. But for who?
Yeah.
For who are you not good enough? You're obsessing about what the world will think, but the world doesn't care about you as much as you think it does, because everybody is very, very self-focused,
self-absorbed
as well. Self-focused, self-absorbed, and is also just trying to make it through themselves. So yeah, anyway, so that was my Ore, how do you feel?
I'm okay.
How do you feel? You're okay?
I'm rocked, but I'm okay. I'll be fine. I'm gonna do, there's this thing, I saw this on Pinterest. I love Pinterest, by the way. If you are not on this Pinterest thing, you've got to be on Pinterest. It's like better than sliced bread and Instagram and TikTok all put together. Anyway, this thing I saw on Pinterest goes, sometimes, was it Pinterest? I think it was Pinterest. Goes, sometimes, because you know how you say fake it till you make it?
Fake it till you make it.
And this guy was like, sometimes you just need to get drunk and then look yourself in the mirror and be like, I am the shit. And it's like, you need to do that thing as many times as it takes until you start to believe it. Until you start to believe it.
That's hilarious. Anyway, thanks so much for being with us here today. Come say hi on socials. You can find us on Instagram and on TikTok. You can also watch us on YouTube. And of course, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on Apple and Spotify. Yeah. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Okay. Love you. Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. Please don't forget to like and subscribe anywhere and everywhere you find your podcasts. Also, you can watch and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Okay. Love you. Bye.